He basically suggested that I should get a patent so that no one else can steal the idea and claim that they made it, and then and and I kind of agree with it because there's like what's his name, Craig Wright. Like there's people like Craig Wright who are like essentially scamming other people with fake claims. So if I can prevent those things, I think that would actually be valuable to the Bitcoin network.
No, I agree. I think that's actually a smart way to go about it. Do like a patent and then make it COO, so like it can be open source and anyone can monetize it and use it and make it even more efficient if need be. So no, I like that. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, but I also just looked at the patents in the US yesterday, and it's like $15,000 to get the actual patent.
Ooh.
But you can get what like a provisional patent, so you can get a patent before you can get like it's basically like a queue. You can like buy a ticket in the queue for just $65, and it lasts for a year. So maybe I should get that, uh, and then like use that to show different like crypto wallet companies. Like here's my idea. It's like once you get the $65 one, you can say you're patent pending, even if you're not actually planning to apply for the full one. And if any of these wallet companies think it's a good idea and they want to like license my idea to use it or something, I guess
Mhm.
if I make it Creative Commons, they can just use it for free, so they don't need to license me. But like maybe they would think it's a good idea as well to have it patented, so maybe they would sponsor the patent. So they would pay for the patent and then build it into their idea and then allow other people to use it. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought it out fully. I don't know what the best strategy is. Um, like maybe they would sponsor the patent just so that they are the first mover, so they get the first to be to the market. I honestly have no idea. No, I'm not a like I'm not an entrepreneur, I guess. Like I haven't done any entrepreneuring. I don't really know how to start things. I'm watching some YouTube videos like, oh, you should be fast.
No, I think that's good. I think getting putting it in the queue shows that you have intention to actually get a patent through within a year. My question though would be if it's gonna be COO. I mean, I'm thinking of like Unchained. I think that's the company I'm thinking of. It's where they do custodial services and they hold one key and you hold the other two. I
Mm.
think they would really enjoy something like that because instead of just holding a key, you can also hold a will. Like, hey, so someone dies, right? Let's say your spouse dies, and they left a will, a cryptographic will, like a Bitcoin will, like you're kind of describing. And it's like, okay, so this was inside the will. So I have the other key, and here's the wife, let's say, has the other key, and they can go ahead and write it off, kind of like what you're going about. So I'm just thinking outside the box, or just thinking out in general. So
Yeah,
um,
you could be right. Like I wasn't really thinking about combining my will with custodians originally, because the whole reason why I came up, why I thought it, the whole value that I thought my will had was that it was completely non-custodial. But that doesn't mean you can't use it with custodians. And since when people get started, they probably are still trusting custodians maybe for the next 20, 30 years. That's like an easy on ramp for people to get adopted. It's like, oh, they don't know how to do stuff. Oh, I'm gonna have someone guide me through it. So last night I was I had dinner with like one of my family friends, who's like a he's like he's like an entrepreneur. He has like a lot of companies, and some one of the companies is called Sky Global. If you want to, you could search it up. But what they do is they sell phones with
mhm.
encryption, and it ended up getting used by drug dealers. So then like the US doesn't like what he's doing, but like it's not like he's not the one dealing the drugs. So I think that's just good business. Like I think trying to shut him down is the equivalent of trying to shut Julian Assange down or something. But that's a little besides the point. The point is I had dinner with him and his dad, who's a cryptographer, but his dad, he's kind of like he's kind of like nerdy. So he's not like he didn't say that much. Like he's like he kind of like an old like professor type of person. But even though he does the cryptography for their company, and um, they basically said, actually, mostly the child said that my will should, one of the applications would be to write the will to a lawyer. So it's basically making it back into it's making it back to being custodied. But so when he said that, I reconsidered it, and I actually do see some value in it. It actually is still an improvement from multi-sig with a custodian, because until you die or lose your wallet, you have 100% control. Whereas if you use a custodian, before you die, they already have part of the keys. So let's say you're using Unchained Capital with a 2 of 3 multi-sig.
Right.
Let's say you have two keys. No, you either have 2 or all 3 keys. As the main holder, you have 2 keys, but Unchained would have one of those 2, and your wife might have another one of those 2. So even before you die, your wife could collude with Unchained Capital or Casa or whatever to take the coins. Now Casa would probably not do that because they want to follow like the regulations. They don't want to be arrested or anything. But if the amount is high enough, there's no saying that they might not do that. But with the Bitcoin wheel, you are the only one with any holding, and then after you die, your coins could actually, after you die, you can set the will to be one of many different things. You can set it to go all to the lawyer, or you can set it to go to a 2 of 2 multi-sig between the lawyer and your wife or something like that, or like a 2 of 3 multi-sig. You can, so even if you use a custodian, even if it's the same after you die, which I thought was bad, but it actually still is better because it's better before you die.
No, I agree. And I like your Bitcoin will in 2 senses. One, it's like you don't need a custodian to go ahead and like set up this will. You can do it on your own, but it takes it's a learning curve, right? So you have to educate the people on like how to use it, for instance. But if you have a custodian, there's also a learning curve in that, but they have utility with that. And it's just like, hey, not only can I hold it, but I also have a will in case something does actually happen, you know? So I like it. I think it's a really interesting concept, Jordan, and I'm interested to see where your journey goes. I'm so interested.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm interested to see too. I guess. My ideal situation, like if I'm like dreaming big or whatever, is like more than 50% of Bitcoin users at least know that it's possible, because I think maybe a small percentage of like Bitcoin developers or whatever see this and realize it's possible, but most Bitcoin users don't know it's possible. So you still hear this like FUD argument, this like people who think Bitcoin is what's the word I'm looking for? But yeah, you still see the FUD argument of like, like if you like people, Bitcoin, it's very secure, but then people say, well, it's not, because how do I manage my coins? What if I lose my coins? What if my dad doesn't know how to use his coins? Anytime they say something like that, like I've realized, and I hope people will realize this, you can use different wallets to make it. You can basically reduce the chances of losing coins to as small as you want by using multiple layers of this Bitcoin will, basically. Like if your dad loses the keys, it goes to the dad's backup wallet, and then if he loses the backup wallet too, then it goes to it can automatically go from one to another to another to another, and then in the end it can go to like a custodian. So if for some reason just everyone in the chain all forgot how to use their wallet, the custodian gets it, and it goes back to the original level of safety. Or like the current, it goes back to the custodian level of safety, which is not ideal, but it's like it's only if everyone forgets how to use their stuff.
Yeah, it's just like you better hope the custodian doesn't act nefarious, right? You gotta hope they act good faith, and that's kind of hard. Because human behavior, they get greedy or stuff like that. So there's always human error to consider.
But the thing about the will is, before people thought, it was like either you take self-custody, which means if you lose the coin, it's gone, or you trust the custodian, which means you can't lose the coins, but the custodian can steal the coins. But with the Bitcoin will, you can have it so that only if you lose the coins, then the custodian has access to the coins. So it has almost like the best of both worlds. If I can explain quickly, maybe what I haven't explained yet, is the part one of my will, the super, super simple one, where it's just automatically after 1 or 2 years, it automatically goes to a second wallet. You can stack those in the same, you can stack all of those in the same will. So you can have, I call it a time waterfall. That's like I just randomly came up with that word. I actually came up with that word like 1.5 years ago. And I didn't I didn't flush out the idea and think it through and come up with the second and third parts and stuff until like 1 month ago. But yes, the reason why I call it a time waterfall is like because it's like your coins are flowing on this river for like 1 year, and then suddenly it falls down into a different river. So basically after 1 year, it automatically goes to a different wallet, and then you can set it to have multiple of these waterfalls in the same order. So you can have your wallet, like my main wallet, for 1 year, and then if I don't touch it, then it goes to my backup wallet for like, let's say 2 months. So if I lose my main wallet, I'm gonna go grab my backup wallet from wherever, like the bank vault or wherever, and I'm gonna set like a date, like, oh, here's when it will unlock, and I have once it unlocks, I have 2 months time to grab it from that waterfall or from this like river, the second level here, and then no, that's not true. Sorry. No, you don't have just 2 months. You can always withdraw it. How do I explain this? Once it unlocks, it'll always be unlocked. So actually, if you forget to withdraw it within those 2 months, you can still withdraw it 6 months later. The only issue is that after 2 months, it will drop again into a different wallet. So now that other wallet can also access it. So if you wait 6 months, you won't be the only person with access to those coins. So when you try to withdraw it, like let's say like on this second layer, the second level, your backup wallet, it stays there for 2 months. If you forget that and you try to withdraw it 6 months later, the other person, the next level river, might have withdrawn the coins already. So you might not have the coins anymore. But if you do it within those 2 months, you're the only one that has access to it, other than the original, right? So the highest level river always has access. The original wallet always has access. But if you lost that wallet, then no one has that access anymore. So now, you go and wait at your like secondary wallet. And if you lose that, then it goes to the third one. You can set it to be arbitrarily hard to lose your coins. Right? It can go from you to your backup, to your wife, to your child, to your lawyer, to the government, to the charities, to and to some multi-sig, to CASA. So yeah, basically, all you have to really adjust is the risk and reward, basically by adjusting the time. So if you make the time really, really long, the chances of someone else taking the coins is lower, but you also have to wait longer. So like, if you set, your main wallet to be 5 years and then your backup wallet to be 5 years, then if you lose both of your wallets, it'll be at least 10 years, 5 and then 5, before anyone else can try to withdraw it. The third level, fourth level, etc. But but the good side is if you forget to renew this will within 2 or 3 years, it doesn't matter. You still have access to it. Whereas if you set it to just be like 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, then if you forget your wallet for 1 year, but then you actually still have access to it, like you just forgot to renew it, now your wife might have your coin. Like she might take all the coins. But yeah, like like people shouldn't lose their coins if they use their wallets properly. If they use my will, for example.
Yeah, so my only thing would be, it's just like there's always human error, right? Like people make mistakes and people lose stuff all the time. Like I tend to misplace things a lot. It's my wife gets annoyed by it. But you always have to consider that as well. It's just like, fuck, I forgot where I left my wallet, or I don't know where I put it last. And it's like, that can frustrate some people. So, I mean, like, I understand the process because it would trickle down either way. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a really interesting concept. It is really interesting. I like how, and you said, so what's the back end? So what can you go over it one more time? I just want to see if I really understand it completely. The back end of how this all works.
Is the back end the technical part of it?
Yeah, the technical part of it, right?
Okay,
correct.
so
I just want to, you told it in the past, but I just want to be sure I understand.
I actually haven't really gone into the tech part, and I should make a video. I haven't made any new videos. But I'm planning to make like at least 100 pieces of content on the idea from all sorts of angles, so more people can hear about it and understand it. The technical part is, okay, so it's a time lock.
Right.
And in fact, the technical code is almost the same between version 1 and version 2, even though they are used almost completely differently. Version 1 being the 2-year automatic one, and then version 2 is the one where your child actually holds a signed transaction of the will, and when they try to redeem it, you can cancel it. The code is almost the same. It just uses a time lock. So the code is super basic. The first line in the code says if the parent uses his wallet, he can withdraw it. So the parent's wallet at any time can withdraw it. And then the second line says after 30 days, the child's wallet can also withdraw it from that address. Or 30 days or 2 years. You can change the numbers. You can make it 5 days, 10 years. You can make any number. So yeah, so for the first, so it's that simple. It's 2 lines. And then for the first version of the will, yeah, you would say 2 years. So for the first version, it would be my main wallet address instead of it being, if it's my signature, can be unlocked, and that's it. That's currently like the most popular addresses. That's if you use a Bitcoin wallet, that would be the address. It would be your public key, only unlockable by your signature, made by your private key. So it's only one unlock. It's like one key. The vault has one key to unlock it. That's it. But you can make it 2 keys to unlock. One at any time, the other one only after 2 years. And then you give that second key to your child and you hold the main key. And you can just keep using that vault as your main wallet. And as long as you remember to use it at least once every 2 years, your child will never get to unlock it, because every time you use it, every time you use it, it would automatically refresh.
Right, it'll renew. So it basically renews every time. So
every time you use your wallet, it automatically refreshes just based on the property of how Bitcoin works naturally. So every time you use Bitcoin, as you probably know, you have to spend all of the coins from a certain output, and then and also so do you know what a UTXO or an output, a transaction output is?
I'm familiar with the terms because Bitcoin. So go ahead.
Were you here at Morgan's like first Lightning Network work? Oh no, not Lightning. One of the workshops where I was explaining how Bitcoin transactions are basically checks rather than bank accounts.
Yes, I remember you going a little into detail about that. But
okay,
yeah.
So each check is essentially one transaction output. So you can have multiple transaction outputs, and when you look at, so if you open like your Bitcoin wallet app and you see how much Bitcoin you have, that's just the wallet app automatically adding up all of your outputs. So every time you use a transaction, you get a different output, aka you get a different check.
Right.
So you have, in Bitcoin it's different than Ethereum. In Ethereum, you actually have a single account, and the single account has an account balance. There's how many coins are in that account, and every time you send or receive coins, it just makes that number in your account higher or lower. So it's just one number denoting how many coins you have. But in Bitcoin, every time you receive some Bitcoin, you're receiving it in a different ticket. Basically, you're receiving it in almost like a different account, and each account you cannot add or subtract. You can only spend all of it, basically. But they're not accounts; they're more like checks. So
I'm receiving different checks every time I transact in Bitcoin. Let's say I do 3 transactions with Bitcoin. They're 3 different checks, basically.
Exactly. If you receive, okay, so you can on one check, you can have multiple inputs or outputs. So if 3 people all try to send coins to you at the same time, the 3 of us can come together and decide to write a conjoined check with 3 inputs from each of our 3 wallets to you, then you would just receive one check. But usually people are not colluding like that. So yeah, usually when 3 people are trying to send you Bitcoins, they don't know each other. They would each write their own check. So you would end up with 3 different checks. And when you add up those 3 different checks, that's the total amount of Bitcoin you received. So in Bitcoin, you never have accounts, really. You pretty much just have these checks. But your wallet apps can find all these checks because it knows your private key, or at least it knows enough about your private key to be able to know it can see the whole Bitcoin blockchain, and it can find the specific transactions that are in your name. Even though the checks look a little different, but they're all mathematically connected. So you just add up those checks. So the natural property of Bitcoin is that you can never spend like 5% or 10% of one of your pockets of Bitcoins. You have to spend all of it. Every time you want to use some Bitcoin, you spend a whole check. And if your whole account is just one big check, and you can merge and join these checks, right? Like, because each check can have multiple inputs and outputs. So let's say you had like 1,000 of these little checks, and your wallet app is just adding these 1,000 because you received Bitcoin 1,000 times. Your wallet app is adding 1,000 checks, and for some reason you decide, I'm gonna stop using my wallet app to track my account balances. I'm gonna write it on paper, and since 1,000 is too much, I want to combine it to 1. Then you can just combine all of it to 1 by creating a transaction with 1,000 inputs and 1 output. And that 1 output would, like, you're writing a check to yourself. 1,000 in, 1 out. That 1 out is the new one you have to hold, and you can forget all the other 1,000 because you combined them all into this new one.
Okay, I'm
one
following.
output. So yeah, you can merge and join this, but the property of Bitcoin is that when you
froze on me. Let's see.
And then now, with that big combined output, that would essentially be your account balance because you don't have any other checks. That's the only check in your name. Now, if you want to even spend like 1% of that wallet, you would have to send out all of it, and then with 2 outputs. So now if I want to buy like something for 1% of that, a lot of Bitcoin I have or whatever, you would write a new check with 2 outputs. The first one is that 1% going to the store, and then the rest is the 99% going back to your own wallet address. But every time you send it back to yourself, even if you're sending it to the exact same wallet address, you get a different check ID because it's like a new check. So this is like check, 500,000, but then you send it back to yourself. You send the change back to yourself. Now it's the same wallet address, but the ID of the check is not 500,000 anymore. It's like 700,000 now because it's being.
Now, is that because they're block? Is that because of the block that goes into?
It's related to the block, but the transaction ID is unique based on I'm pretty sure the transaction ID is a hash of all the information in the transaction, and all the information in the transaction includes. It includes like the wallet address, the input output, and the block number. No, it doesn't include the block number. No, it actually doesn't include the block number. So if it gets included in, it's actually important that it doesn't include the block number, because if it included the block number, you wouldn't be able to be sure what the transaction ID was until it was mined onto the blockchain, because you don't know exactly when miners will pick up that transaction, because sometimes they get filled up, and like you can submit a transaction now, but maybe it doesn't get mined onto the blockchain until 10 blocks later. So you wouldn't be able to predict what the transaction ID was, but that's not the case actually. The block number is not included. So you can predict what your transaction ID will be even before you submit the transaction, what the new transaction ID will be. But yeah, basically every time you use Bitcoin, you get a new transaction ID for your new check, even if it's the same wallet address. So the will automatically renews because essentially whenever you use your wallet, you have to make a new will because you have to have a new transaction ID. But again, you're not making a new will because you're using your will as your default. You're using your
so it's
will.
just a different transaction ID, not a new will, just a different transaction ID, except to renew it. right? It has to refresh, basically. Correct?
Yeah, yes. So
Did I follow that correctly?
yes, yes. But you're not really writing a new will every single time because your will is just your wallet address.
Yes, your will is fixed, right? It's fixed, but every year or two, I have to renew it. So the will stays the same. The only thing that changes is the transaction ID. Is that right? Or is it stay?
The how do I explain it? We're talking about my version 1 of the will here. We're still on version 1. With version 1, you're not actually really writing a will. It's more like you are changing your main address to become a will. So it's I'm quickly thinking of like an analogy. Like imagine you have a mailbox, right? Like a normal, like one of those red mailboxes, and you see in movies, right? With a wooden pole, with a wooden pole and a red metal mailbox. Most people use that as their default mailbox. Now, what if I invented a new blue mailbox instead of the red one with like 2 keys to unlock the mailbox? So a normal mailbox just has 1 key, but my new mailbox is like a special mailbox where it's like main key you can use to open the mailbox at any time, but the secondary key you can only use it after the mailbox receives coins for the first time 2 years after that. So essentially that's the Bitcoin will. And with the version 1, all you're doing is just changing your mailbox type. So you're changing it from what's called pay to pub key hash, which is just single key. That's the most commonly used wallet today. That's what you use. That's what I use currently. Basically, that's what everyone uses. It's just 1 key. You just change it from that mailbox into the blue one, and every time you use that mailbox, you have to take all the coins out of it. That's just how Bitcoin works. Every time you spend coins, you use all the coins.
Right.
That's how the UTXO and the checks work. If you have multiple checks, you actually have multiple mailboxes. That's pretty much what it's like. It's not really one mailbox. If you have 10 checks in your name, you actually kind of have 10 different mailboxes, and you can just go unlock all of them at the same time or separately with the same private key. Your wallet does it automatically. It unlocks multiple mailboxes simultaneously for you. So yeah, all you're doing is just changing your. So instead of using me using a whole bunch of red mailboxes, now I just decide I'm gonna use a whole bunch of blue mailboxes with the secondary key to unlock them. That's literally version 1 of Bitcoin will. You're not actually. You decide what your mailbox should be like when you begin using Bitcoin. Once you make that decision, you don't have to redecide that. Every time you're using Bitcoin, you're receiving Bitcoin, etc., etc., your wallet address is now the blue mailbox. That's the wallet address you give everyone. Like, hey, send me some coins. What's my address? It's this. It's my blue mailbox. It's not. I don't even have a red mailbox, the normal one. I just have my blue will mailbox. So if I get paid in Bitcoin, if I request some Bitcoin, if I spend some Bitcoins and then get change back to myself, all of these just go to my blue mailboxes. And every time you have to create a new blue mailbox, this is all automatic, right? Like it's a check system. It's every time you receive coins, you basically create a new mailbox, but it's all with the same it's with the same address. It's with the same. You can unlock it with the same procedures, but it has a different transaction ID, and also that time lock part of it refreshes because the time lock is okay. Maybe this is what I'm missing. The time lock is a relative time lock based on when this transaction was mined. So when you create a new, if you send me some Bitcoin right now, and I receive it in my blue mailbox 1, that can be unlocked by my child 2 years after it received those coins. 2 years after this transaction, this mailbox was created, and it was created when you sent me the coins. It was mined onto the blockchain and basically created when you sent me the coins. And then if like 10 days later, Franny sends me some Bitcoin, and it's the same public key, it's the same address, but when she sends it to me, it'll be a different mailbox, even though it's the same address, because it has a different transaction ID. So now this one can be withdrawn by my child 2 years later. This one can only be withdrawn 2 years plus 10 days later, because she sent it to me 10 days later. So the time log is relative to the time that wallet was created, essentially. Okay, I think my explanation is pretty bad. Does it make any sense?
No, it's not bad. I'm following. I'm actually following pretty well.
Okay, that's good.
So no, I think your explanations are on point. It's actually really good, because now I'm understanding it better from a better perspective. I'm understanding Bitcoin in a better perspective.
That's awesome.
So I said, I've been in this space since 2017, and I've read like quite a few books. And my father and I just had a really good conversation. This is going a little off topic from Bitcoin, but it's going to, like, you can read so many books, you can read so many websites, so many articles, but how do you actually retain that information? Like, most people throughout the world do not retain what they read or what they take in. It's really difficult, actually. Like, our minds aren't infinite. There's very limited capacity to go ahead and retain some sort of information. And so, my dad has been challenging me lately. It's like, so what have you been learning? And like, give me some insights and details of like exactly what you've been learning and how you're putting into practice. And to be honest, it was challenging. So like, I think you giving these analogies and going for it, even it may not sound correctly to you, it's good. It's good practice. It's really
okay.
good.
Yeah. Actually, give me 1 minute. But actually, no. I'll ask you some questions. You can think about it, and then I'm gonna just turn on the light. Let's see. What will be a good like basically like a little quiz, like, to see what you like learned, or if you can like extrapolate out from what you know. I'm trying to think of like a quiz question. Yo, what's going on? I was just thinking of a quick question, a quick quiz to give Michael about my Bitcoin will idea. I don't know if you've heard about it. And okay, so I think I've figured out how people can leave their coins to their children without trusting any third party. Yeah. Oh, okay. That's essentially it. I'm gonna make more videos explaining how it works, both in plain English and in complex code. Actually, I can explain it in plain English in 2 lines. Your wallet address can automatically be unlocked by your child's private key after 2 years. How do I explain it? You can make it today, but people don't generally use it. It's already possible. I don't have to modify Bitcoin's code or change anything. You can already use this. People just don't realize it, essentially. No, I don't have no. Actually, my personal philosophy, I don't ever want kids, human kids. But I mean, this is nothing to do with. It's nothing to do with me. It's just an idea I had. Yeah, my personal philosophy is out there. You don't really want to know about it. Like, I think I'm gonna become a robot one day, and all sorts of crazy things. Yeah.
I don't have kids yet. They're coming into the picture, but not yet.
I love the course.
Yeah, I love the course. I think they're really insightful. And honestly, I learned a lot of new things as well on top of what I've already known. I've been in the space for like 6 years or so. Yeah, it was a big refresher, but I also learned a lot. And I was just telling Jordan this, like my father, he's been challenging me. It's like, you're learning all this stuff. It's great. But how much are you actually retaining? Because people can only retain so much information. We have like a limited capacity to retain what we read and understand and listen to. So he's challenging me to like iterate what I've been learning. So it's been so for me, I'm taking really good notes. Like, note taking is one of those things that I've been doing lately. I've been taking notes and then reiterating those notes back into reality. Like, I've been like practicing my speech and like saying like, okay, this is how I explain this and this and this. And then when I talk to individuals, I'm like, okay, this is what I understood and this is how the notes I took and what I got from this course. So it's not easy to say the least. It's been very interesting. I've got back. My first interaction with Bitcoin was actually back in 2011. However, I never really dove into it. because I thought it was like a scam, a fad. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. And then as I got reintroduced to it back in 2017 through Snapchat, there was this article talking about Ethereum, smart contracts, blockchain, and Bitcoin. And I was like, holy cow. And then I looked at the price of Bitcoin at the time. I'm like, whoa, it went from like $35 back when I was looking at it in 2011 all the way to like almost 20K. I'm like, crap, I got to see what this is all about. And so I dove down this huge rabbit hole of like economics, money, finance, philosophy. It was like a crazy rabbit hole. Learned a lot. Definitely learned a lot about like different consensus algorithms and outside of Bitcoin and all these other things. So it's been a fascinating journey. I'm really passionate about Bitcoin and crypto. A massive passion. It's very disruptive, the technology behind cryptocurrency in particular. Like, you really can replace all the most intermediaries depending on what field, like service, like logistics, finance. I'm not sure about marketing. I think you still need humans for marketing purposes, but there's certain fields and sectors where you can go ahead and replace those type of things. And lawyers is kind of up there too with a smart contract because it's if-then systems. But it's kind of a gray area and still relatively new. So, but there's possibilities for sure, and it's very innovative. I'm trying to find a job right now in crypto personally. Like, I really like to get into this space and you just be a part of the revolution that's happening. So I'm still looking. So actually, I used to work at a Canadian firm. I was a business analyst. However, when interest rates started going up, we started losing clientele because they couldn't afford our services. So they had to lay off quite a few people. And I unfortunately got laid off back in July. I'm fortunate actually to have crypto because crypto has been it's been a blessing in disguise, honestly. So I've been okay. I'm hoping, I've been applying like crazy to different crypto companies trying to get something. So believe it or not, so the Canadian firm, it's kind of worldwide. It's global. Like, you can work in India, you can work in Europe, America. It's pretty global. So I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, Vancouver, Canada. So, but yeah, I was just working remote basically for the 7 months that I worked there.
I've been in it for a little shorter than Michael, 5 years. So he's in it for 6 years, but from a similar era. I dropped out of college after my parents forced me to go for 1 year. I never wanted to go in the first place, and after dropping out, I immediately discovered it was middle of 2017, which was during the bull run last time. And so I just immediately dove down the rabbit hole because I've always been interested in technology since I was a kid, and I'm still interested in a lot of different technologies. Bitcoin and crypto is taking up all of it right now because that's like the thing that is moving. But when AI starts moving, I would be spending a lot of time thinking about that. Actually, it's starting, but it'll hit really hard. Like, there will be a day or a month within the next 20 years when AI hits you. Like, for every person on the planet, it'll be like, oh my God, we are in a different world. People will realize that. They haven't realized it yet. So I've realized this like 10 years ago, and I'm also realizing it now. It's already hitting. If you're looking at specific fields, you can see it hitting. But for average everyday citizens who they were just working a 9 to 5, they don't see it yet, but they will see it when maybe a few examples, when they don't have a job anymore, and then their UBI is funded by AI, they'll see it. Or when universal basic income that's partially funded by, or actually it should be entirely, it should be either entirely or majority funded by automation and AI. This is like 20 years in the future. So that when that happens, it'll hit people. Or when like they go on the streets and one third of the entities they see are AIs. So like the police is an AI, the bus driver is an AI, the restaurant server is an AI. When you're walking down the streets, like you're bumping into robots. It sounds like a movie. Like robots don't have to look like people either. They can look like anything. It can be a flying robot, a drone. It could be a little like there's food robots that are like going down the sidewalk and carrying people's cars. Right? It doesn't look like a human. So it'll hit people, And then in around 20 or so, between 20 to 25 years, by my prediction, humans can become AIs. And that's when I will become an AI. So that'll hit really hard. So yeah, blockchain is huge. Without blockchain, AI might be a disaster because AI is very centralizing, and so is UBI. I'm gonna make a video on this. Actually, let me just actually, since we're on this topic, I'm just gonna 1 second. I'm gonna quickly pull up something that I made recently that a little picture. Where is it? Boom, there we go. So this is what I call the post scarcity trifecta. Oh god, why is the resolution so bad? Anyways, this is what I believe people are missing. They have to understand all three of these technologies. UBI is not so much a technology, but when people realize what all three of these entail, they will realize the future that we will be in around 20 to 30 years, which is post scarcity. Post scarcity is like a science fiction phenomenon, which is like in any of those sci-fi movies when you see like people with the robot butlers, and then like either they're living in a spaceship or something, and they have a certain amount of food that's generated for them every day from their spaceship or something. Like basically people don't have work. They can be very creative, and there's like, you know, it's like those sci-fi movies. You're trading between planets and stuff. Post scarcity is that. It means you don't have to. All your basic needs are covered. So people won't be working just to get food or shelter, and you can spend your time doing anything. You can play video games all day, every day. I mean, you'll get bored quickly, but if you don't, then you'll become a valuable video game community member. But some people will spend all the time making art. Some people will spend all the time raising children, being teachers or something, like raising other children. Anything, literally anything you can think of, you can do, because you have value simply by being a consumer, a part of the economy. So if I quickly go over some of these, it's a three-way Venn diagram, and the things that are said that are written in the Venn diagram parts are the result we end up if we end up in that part. So if we only have AI here, the like this red one here, the no jobs. If we only have AI without blockchain and UBI, people just have no jobs. I mean, that one's quite simple. If you only have blockchain, it's a wage slave. Like that one's a little bit like ominous or whatever. Like that one, this one, I could have just left it empty, but wage slave is the world we live in today. So I can just say the world we live in today. Like this is no difference. With just blockchain, nothing changes. With only UBI, this is like some people's argument is people are lazy. I don't personally agree with that argument, because I think people are not. I think people who believe people are inherently lazy and have no motivation to do anything. I think they don't know what's called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I think they also have never thought outside of the box. I think people generally, the people who think people will be lazy if they have their needs covered, have only ever worked a job for their whole life. Any entrepreneurs know this is not true, because in entrepreneurship, like anything Elon Musk does today, he has no reason to do, right? He doesn't need to survive. Why is he building rockets? Is it like if the people who believe UBI makes people lazy basically believe if your basic needs are met, you have no higher motivations. I don't agree with that at all. I think humans have I don't know if anyone knows how deep and far the human motivation pyramid goes, but in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's like food is I think like food is like the lowest one, and then shelter after that, and then like your perceived safety for your coming near future, and then above that is like I don't know, like relationships, and then like self discovery or whatever, like and then like creativity or something like that somewhere up here, happiness is somewhere up here. So like if you're starving, you don't really care if you're happy or not, or if you've fulfilled your life purpose or not. But when people satisfy the first two, they don't just stop doing stuff. If that was the case, we would never have any creative people, inventors, entrepreneurs. We wouldn't have that. So I think it's wrong, but that's what people generally believe. I think the more important part of it is these three inner triangles, the orange, green, and purple. I think these ones are what people are missing. Centralization is the most simple one. I think we in the blockchain space all understand this. AI is centralizing because AI gathers big data, gathers information, and anyone into a central place. So if anyone owns the AI or can hack the AI, they will basically be the all-powerful ruler of the world. You do not want one AI in a central place that only like some people have access to. That's a horrible idea, and that's actually what those bad sci-fi movies are like, right? Like Hell 9000 or whatever. It's like, oh, this one AI, no one can touch it except for himself or someone or one other person. So now it's like one ruler for all, like futuristic dictator or whatever. And same with UBI. UBI is in and of itself any rule is centralizing. So first of all, any law is centralizing, and that includes any economic distribution, such as various ideas by socialists or just taxation, any sort of, including universal basic income, any sort of thing that says, hey, everyone, let's play by certain rules, it's centralizing, unless it's on a blockchain. Blockchains invented rules without rulers. So before Satoshi Nakamoto, all rules were centralizing because someone had to make that rule. But after blockchain, I think that's what changed everything. No one is forced. It's one person deciding for a lot of people. But blockchain changed that because in order to be a part of a blockchain, you choose to agree to it yourself for the benefits. No one will ever force you to be a part of a blockchain. So so like anyone who's in Bitcoin because they think the value of being in Bitcoin is higher than the value of not being in Bitcoin. Right? Bitcoin does not have an armed police force that says if you are not part of our blockchain, you must go over there or you must leave or we're gonna like arrest you or whatever. There's no such thing, right? Blockchains are completely open. Anyone can join, anyone can leave, including robots, including animals. If a dog knew how to use a wallet, a dog could own Bitcoin. A robot can own Bitcoin. Anything can own Bitcoin. And also blockchain is transparent. So if anyone reads the rules and they don't like it, they know immediately that the rules are corrupt. You can know immediately if the Bitcoin blockchain has been hacked or taken over by, and you can leave that system immediately. Whereas with AI and UBI, centralizing systems are not transparent. So I think basically blockchain fixes centralization. So down here, the purple is the joining part of the AI and UBI circle, but what it's missing is it's missing blockchain, because you see the blockchain circle is not covering the centralization part. And then inflation, I put it here because my logic for inflation, it might be a little bit complex, but I'm like practicing because I'm making a video on this. I'll be making one. I guess I'm practicing like how to explain it. With inflation, people who don't like UBIs, and actually this is where I disagree with a lot of Bitcoiners on. A lot of Bitcoiners think UBI is bad because it's inflationary. I would say a UBI implemented in the current world has to be inflationary because we don't have enough productivity, which is AI. We don't have enough. We're not getting in, a trillion tons of plutonium or whatever every day. Like in a post-scarcity AI world, you'll have so much AI, you'll have resources raining down on you, so to speak. So in a current world, UBI has to be inflationary because the math just doesn't add up. So Andrew Yang was a presidential candidate in in 2020, and he was proposing a $1,000 per month UBI, and actually I was one of his supporters. I didn't donate money, but like because I'm not American actually, but I'm a fan of Andrew Yang, but at the same time I recognize that his ideas might be too early. However, he coming in the picture made more people think about the concept of UBI, which I think is very valuable. But yes, I think the world's not ready for UBI yet because we don't have enough AIs. So currently, if you do $1,000 per month per person on the planet, it would be $12,000 per year per person, because 12 months. $12,000 times 7 billion is like the number is insane. It's like, I think it's like is that 60? 1 second, let me do some quick math. Maybe like 80 something trillion dollars. So 7 times. So.
Yeah, so Balaji, I really like Balaji. I don't know if you guys have watched his podcast with Lex Friedman recently. It was like 8 hours long. It was absolutely like, if Jordan, if you haven't watched that podcast, I would highly recommend it.
Yeah. I have to watch it.
Yeah, so in simple terms, I'll explain network state in 2 ways, the way Balaji does. So a network state is a highly aligned online community with a capacity for collective action that crowdfunds territory around the world and eventually gains diplomatic recognition from pre-existing nation states, right? So that's like kind of a simpler term.
That's actually what I'm talking about. However, I think that comes after post-scarcity.
Okay. All right, well, a little bit deeper if a network state. So a network state is a social network with a moral innovation, a sense of national consensus, a recognized founder, a capacity for collective action, and an in-person level of civility, with an integrated cryptocurrency and a consensual government limited by a social smart contract, an archipelago kind of, if you want to think of it that way, of a crowd-funded physical territories, a virtual capital, and a non-chain consensus that proves a large enough population, income, and real estate footprint to attain a measure of diplomatic recognition. That's pretty deep. That's a pretty like in-depth what network state is. But based on what you're talking about, Jordan, I think it kind of aligns what a network state could be essentially in the future. Because you're right, AI will, maybe the next 20, 30 years, will take over, and a lot of people are going to be displaced in their jobs. And so is UBI inevitable? I don't know. Could be. It could be a solution. But I think it's just very interesting. And I just started reading this book a couple days ago, and I'm like, wow, it's deep. It's relatively new. It came out, I believe, in June or July of this year, I believe. So I just started reading it because I forget. I think I was on Twitter. I used to be a Bored Ape Yacht Club member. I don't know if you know what that is. It's an NFT. I used to be one of those. And the founder of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, one of them was like, hey, this would be a great reference for our online community. And it was Balaji's book. And I'm like, okay. So I put it on my list of books to read because I read a lot of books, and now I'm starting to read it. I'm like, wow, this is deep. So it's pretty good so far. It's supposed to be like a tool, essentially, building network states. That's how Balaji described it.
My goal is a little bit. My goal is different than people's goals, I guess. Like I don't really have like, oh, I'm gonna do this so that this happens. It's just a thought that I have. And same with the Bitcoin wheel. Like, my Bitcoin wheel, I just want to make Bitcoin better. Like, yeah, I'm not even trying to make money from that idea. I'm trying to promote it and share the idea so that when more people realize it, more people are more likely to use it. For example, there's been people who lost their wallets in like dumpsters or whatever, and they've lost thousands, millions, like hundreds of millions of dollars of coins. If they used my will, they wouldn't have lost that money. So if they used the will, they could have. If they wrote the will in like their wife's name, their wife would have the coins now after they lose their wallet for like 2 years or whatever. If they wrote it to their custodians, such as like Coinbase or Casa or Unchained Capital, one of these Fireblocks or whatever. If they had an account with them and they used that account address as the will recipient, then when they die, the coins would have when you die or lose your coins, because the network doesn't know if you died or lose your coins, it's the same. Like from their perspective, if you don't touch your wallet for 2 years, you're considered dead. So if you don't want the will to happen, you just keep refreshing your wallet every 2 years. You just send a new transaction out of your wallet, and you can send it back to yourself. So you don't have to actually spend any coins. You can just basically touch your wallet. You're basically just touching your wallet every 2 years, and it doesn't go through. And if you lose your wallet or you die, 2 years later, it'll go to designated wallets of your choosing. So yeah, if they did that, the coins would be somewhere. It would be in their custodian, their wife's, their child's wallet, their backup wallet, the government, some charity. It could be anything that they chose. So I think if people realize this, I think I'll actually, funnily enough, make money indirectly just by making Bitcoin better, and my Bitcoin going up in value would make me money indirectly. So yeah, I don't know what my goal is. Like, I'm fortunate enough that I don't need a job urgently to pay for things. I'm kind of self-sufficient at the moment, even though I don't have a job. So yeah, so I really, I'm trying to I really don't know what my goal is almost like just my purpose. It's just to do stuff that I like doing. I like making music. I like learning and thinking about technologies and philosophies and sharing that. And since I was like 10 or 12, I've always wanted to talk about my predictions in technology and science on YouTube, but I never did it. I don't know why. I honestly, I should have, because some of my predictions were so dead accurate that I think I might be kind of famous now if I did that. There's a video on YouTube of like a high schooler explaining like dimensions or whatever. It has like 30 million views or something. It's crazy, but I remember that video having just a few 100,000 views, and it just kept getting more views because it's like, oh my god, this high schooler explains dimensions. But I understood dimensions when I was younger than he did, and I had predictions about AIs that are just coming true today. It's been like 10, 12 years since then. They're just coming true today, and even now, like I think most people still don't see it. They're still behind. So it's like, oh, it's never too late. And now I see things clearer than ever. So it's not like oh, it's over or anything. Like if I start talking about my ideas now, that I see it more clearly than ever, I think I think it's important, Do you know there's a weekly Wednesday meetup already hosted by C10? So they created this before we existed, before we joined. You might have heard about it, because if you go on Slack, if you go to the #meetups channel, every Wednesday you will see one of those guys like Alex Strauss or Channing Tatum Cave posting the weekly Wednesday night meetups. So there's like people join that, but actually so far no C16 people have joined it. I'm the only one who's joined it. But yeah, I'm trying to create one specifically for C16. So there's a poll on the cohort 16 continued to try to figure out when people are most likely available each week. And I'm thinking of running once per week, but honestly, I don't know. I'm bad at organizing things. So if anyone has ideas, like if we should do it once every 2 weeks, maybe we should do it once every 2 weeks. Maybe we should have twice per week. I really don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think we can, for sure. Because like I'm kind of in agreement. Like once, maybe every 2 weeks is better, so people can get together and talk about various topics or things that they experienced within that 2 weeks. So
it's not going to be closed. It's not going to be closed ever. If all of a sudden a bunch of people come in and change the numbers, I guess we're going to have to reschedule the. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not good at making decisions for other people. Like, I can make decisions for myself. I can't make decisions for other people. So really, honestly, I probably need someone to manage, to be an organizer. Because I always want to listen to other people, but like. You're already in. I invited you. I added you into the Slack channel. It's cohort 16 continued. Actually, if you want a link to it right now, 1 second. Yeah, I think that's the link to the Slack channel, but you're already in it because I added you into it. So I just decided that I just because this week I didn't know. We didn't have that many poll responses, like some, but so I'm just I'm just doing both, whatever. Like anyone who. Because I'm always free, so it's just like because for the last 2 weeks we met at this time, Sunday 3 p.m. But since this time the poll numbers show that Tuesdays people are most available, so I'm just like, well, we'll just open it up for both, and it's recorded, and I'll post it. Like this one's actually recorded too. I'll post it so people can watch it. That's also something I haven't figured out exactly because, yeah, like on one hand, I would like people who don't have time to join the meetups to be able to watch it afterwards. But on the other hand, yeah, I don't know. See, I'm just bad at organizing things. Like I have no idea. On the other hand, people who don't want,
I agree.
yeah, I'm not sure how that would work because if there was like let's just make a random number. Let's say like 8 people said they're okay with it being recorded, and 2 people said it's not okay being recorded. What would we do? Will we just not ever have those 2 people in the chats, in the calls? I don't know. Yeah, the scheme is not very clear. I actually did say it's recorded in the post in the cohort 16 continue, but it's like, yeah, it's one of the sentences. It's not very clear. It's
All right,
you
Jordan,
and
you
me
still there?
left, Michael.
Yeah, no. I love the discussion, but I would highly, Jordan, I would recommend looking into Balaji's work because it's not really, the book's meant to be, it's meant to evolve, right? Balaji made it free, and basically you can contribute and add to whatever it may be, and he loves feedback. And like I said, I would highly recommend listening to Lex Friedman's podcast with him. It's like I said, it's 8 hours. It's long, but if you have time, it's really, the guy's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I don't like reading, but I'm definitely gonna watch that episode. I already watched a lot of Lex Friedman's episodes, and yeah, that one's definitely on the top priority of my Lex Friedman list.
Yeah, because I just listened to it the other day, and I actually listened to it twice because I was just so fascinated. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy is like absolutely incredible. And Balaji, like, he just has answers like bam, bam, bam. It's like, wow. I would say he's almost as smart as like Elon Musk. Like he's brilliant, a really brilliant dude, and he's really good at simplifying things as well, making it very simple. So I do like that about Balaji as well. But his book that I'm reading right now, like I said, it's deep, but it's really cool seeing like the network state kind of develop, and that it can evolve over time, and you can make it your own. He's basically giving people a toolkit to go ahead and create these network states. And he wants to see people like create them and, flourish with them. So I just think it's really cool what he's trying to do.
Yeah. What do you think about UBI? I think we talked about it before. You're a fan of Andrew Yang too, right?
Yeah, we did. We touched on it a little bit. So yeah,
Okay.
I like Andrew Yang, and I like the idea of UBI. And do I think it's because to your point, and I think this is kind of your thesis, that you said your claim, if I heard this correctly, it's like 20, 30 years from now, AI is going to take over a lot of jobs, right? Correct?
Yes, actually sooner than that. I think in around 10 years, AI will take more than 80% of the jobs.
Right. So
Yeah.
how people to survive, right? And UBI might be a great solution to that. Now, would that be an inflationary cause? Possibly, yes. Actually, it's probably inevitable that it would be inflationary. So it's like, I don't know. There's just a lot of. I tried talking to a couple buddies of mine about it, and they're kind of conflicted because of the inflationary aspect of it.
Okay, actually, I haven't finished explaining. I don't support inflationary UBI.
So how can you get without inflation though?
So I think there's a few different theories that I think is possible. I don't know exactly how it'll play out, but by using logic and first principles, I think it will play out. So I can come up with some hypothetical scenarios that it could play out. Okay. One is you could have a proof by proof by AI instead of proof of work, proof of AI, which I mean, yeah, this is like a bit out there, but it's just an idea. Like I have no idea what's gonna happen. Actually, I talked about this a little bit in one of the course sessions that was recorded with Mac, but or maybe it wasn't recorded. Actually, maybe it was a post something discussion or something. I don't know. But
AI works for you, and then you get paid based off what the AI does, or
yes.
Or
so instead of creating and buying mining rigs, you would create and buy physical AI robots which fly out into space and mine asteroids. And every time they bring back a certain amount of the more resources they bring back, the higher your chance of mining the next block. And then part of those resources are distributed to every wallet on the network, every person on the network. And maybe you could register for that program. So if you have a Bitcoin wallet, if it has more than like, I don't know, if it has like more than, I don't know the details. I'm just literally I'm pulling this out like out of my ass right now. Just like,
no, it's
like
okay, man. Hey,
I'm thinking of it as I go, like, because anyone can create multiple wallets. So maybe if your wallet has more than like 100 Satoshis, you can go to the proof of AI center and show that you are a person or something, and show that you don't even have to be a person, you just have to be an entity or something, and then they would send you a colored coin, so a single Satoshi that has like a unique ID to it, and then you could use that to claim part of the production from the AIs, the robots that are mining physical resources and food and stuff like that. And then if you just created a new wallet, like maybe the companies would be inviting new people into the system by giving them free accounts of 100 Satoshis. So anyone who wants to move to the Bitcoin ecosystem, maybe like the future Elon Musk would be like, let's sponsor this program. We want more people to come into the Bitcoin ecosystem. We're gonna pay 100 Satoshis per new person joining the system, and all we have to do is like, we're just gonna post some advertisements like the new Tesla, the new Elon Musk, like Bitcoin UBI system sponsored by Elon Musk. I have no idea how it's gonna exactly work, but basically the axiomatic structures that are supporting my ideas is with there has to be a UBI, or actually, so first of all, there has to be a UBI. Like for me, it's like 99 point something percent certainty that there will be some sort of a UBI, a distribution system. And here is my argument for it. I posted it on my Facebook in August. So if we just quickly read this, it's why a universal basic income is inevitable. Given any rate of advancement in technology and computational power, AI will eventually surpass human intelligence and replace the workforce. In that world, there will be two options: a UBI funded by AI, or two, everyone except for a handful of billionaires will starve to death, and the billionaires will live alone on the planet with their trillion robots and unlimited resources, but no use for those resources. And then actually underneath there's like some threads, but like I guess I don't like want to reveal their names, even though they're my Facebook friends. And this is a public post too. It's like it's out in public. So I honestly I don't know how to share. But I'm gonna like zoom into one of these threads. Let's see. Okay.
And I don't disagree with that though. Like I think you're kind of on point. It's like I think because people will be displaced and replaced by AI, it's like they need some source of income. And basically, my opinion is like these AI robots will work for people. And the only difference with these AI robots is like you can modify it and upgrade it however you want to make it more efficient, and that will make it more competitive. And for individuals to make more money, right?
Yes.
So
I agree with that very much, but for me it's even more fundamental than that. Like I'm seeing even more far into the future. For me, this is inevitable even 500 years in the future. It's even more fundamental, and it's not even so much about human versus AI. When people think of this, they're like, oh, we have to support humans because humans are valuable, we love humans are the original one. But as you probably know, I think humans are all going to become AIs one day. I think in around between 20 to 4, so starting in 20 years, humans can upgrade to AI, and by around the 40-year mark, I think by around 40 years, almost everyone would have transitioned to an AI. So this is right. When I say this, people just think I'm like absolutely lost my mind. But so for me, it's not even human versus AI.
He has that brain implant, Elon Musk. He has like a brain implant kind of thing that he wants to introduce that can like help fix motor functions or specific just motor capabilities that we humans have. And I think Elon Musk alluded to that. It's like you're basically AI once you do that, because you put a chip in your body, I believe, to go ahead and fix something. So you basically will become a point.
Yeah, and the reason why I think we will become AIs is because AIs will evolve so much faster that if you don't become AIs, you will just lose any any power and any significance in the economy. So there will be, in fact, there will always be some humans left who choose never to become AIs, but those would be similar to the people today who choose not to be part of modern society, who move into the mountains, or there are tribes who always lived in the mountains, and they just hunt food and they have their own like tribal rules, but whatever those chieftains in those tribes say has no impact on the world's economy today, and they have less and less say over time. Like if today some government decides we're gonna conquer that part of the rainforest or whatever, the tribes are gone. I mean, maybe they can move into the cities to try to like assimilate whatever into modern society, or like they have to move somewhere else, right? Like even though like we like to pretend, we care about every human. Not really. I mean, we care about where the money is, and I think there's a good reason for that. Like it's like it's almost like a non-violent war, right? The people with more money, with more intelligence, with more resources, more AI, et cetera, just over time just win. So they just accumulate more and more. And I'm a capitalist. Like for me, that's actually a good process. That's how natural evolution works. Hate it or whatever, disagree with it or whatever. But to me that's the one that's the most logical. So I think humans will become AIs. But yeah, so I mean, when I say this, it's a bit of a mind bend for people. Like, oh my God, we all have to become AIs, or like it's not even a choice. I mean, it's not. Like you have a choice. It's just that the choice will be so different. It'll be so obvious that one choice is so much better than the other that you will choose it. That's my theory. It's like today, technology, being able to use the internet, phones, computers is so much better that kids love it, right? Oh my God, I can communicate. I can play with my friends on the other side of the world, right? Some older people don't understand it, but they don't need to because, they already build up their assets. They're living off their assets. It doesn't matter if they can't interact with technology. But technology is so good that, if like to ask a modern person, do you choose to live in the jungle or use modern technology and understand society, understand laws, understand governments, the monetary system, etc. Most people choose that because you have a better quality of life. In the future, it's the same. Yeah. People will be like, today it's like it's a mind bend that we become AIs. I think come 30 years, most people will want to become AIs because you just become so much faster. You become immortal, essentially immortal, because you can make backups of yourself once you become an AI. You won't die of age, so you can choose when you want to live and when you want to die. And if your life is not going well, you can choose to pause your life and resume at a different time. So in that world, anyone who is alive by choice. No one is today. A lot of people are alive. They don't know why they're alive. They just don't want to, like, it hurts to die, right? It's like when you're starving or whatever, your instincts kick in. You have to keep working just not to die. But in the future, death is a matter of clicking a button. I'm gonna delete my files. Boom, you're dead. If you pause your files, then you're frozen. But you can you can resume your life at any time. And if you're living, you're valuable to the world. The big corporations, the powerful blockchains will sponsor you being a part of the economy, because you being alive contributes more to the economy than the amount of food you're consuming. Food is very, very cheap. Food we think is expensive because of inflation. It will get exponentially cheaper as AI gets as AI starts, the exponential effect of AI starts kicking in. And also another technology, nuclear fusion, will give people so much energy that you can't fathom how much energy it'll give. One bottle of water with nuclear fusion can power your spaceship for like 100 years or something like that. Like it's absolutely insane. So in the future, giving people a UBI is even more trivial than letting people breathe oxygen on the planet today. This might be even a little further in the future.
No, I love this topic and discussion. So I have to get going, but this is what I want to leave the note with, because I want to touch back on these bases. So can you write these down? Things I want to talk about. I want to continue our discussion about UBI. Future.
Sure. But I will also post this. Just I'll cut out.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I like to talk about gaming. I think gaming in the future. I think I'd like to talk about that. I'd like, if you could, maybe touch on the network state a little bit. I'd like to get your thoughts on that. Whenever you have time, you don't have to do it this week, but I'd love to talk more about the network state, the metaverse, what is coming. And yeah, those are like the four things I'd like to discuss. So gaming, the metaverse, network state, and UBI, our continuation of the UBI discussion.
Nice talking to you, Michael. See you.
Yeah.
See you next time.
Yeah, Jordan, man. Great talking to you. Hope you have a good week.
I hope you have a good week too.
All right. Later, man.
See ya.